This chart isolates global economic production in the 17th century. During this period, the Mughal Empire produced roughly 25% of the world's total industrial output. Yet in many Western classrooms, the timeline of the Indian subcontinent before the British arrived in 1858 is treated as a historical blank space, a disorganized waiting room before modern history began. The Indian subcontinent was actually an incredibly dense, highly advanced economic hub. It was the absolute destination every other empire was desperately trying to access. Shifting our perspective away from Europe turns the standard story of global colonization into an autopsy of the pre-modern world's most powerful wealth-generating machine. The foundation for this wealth was laid nearly 5,000 years ago with the Indus Valley civilization. They built some of the earliest planned cities on Earth, characterized by standardized brick construction and early techniques in copper and bronze metallurgy. Their municipal engineering was highly specific. They built vast roadside drainage systems to handle water runoff and sanitation, predating modern plumbing by millennia. By the Iron Age, a second wave of urbanization swept the region. This culminated in the Mauryan Empire, a massive state that absorbed smaller realms to unify the entire northern subcontinent under a single administration. To manage this vast territory, the Mauryans created an efficient, centralized financial system and built physical arteries. The Grand Trunk Road connected the subcontinent directly to the major overland networks of Central Asia. This deep-rooted infrastructure integrated a diverse array of isolated settlements into a cohesive, high-capacity logistical network ready to export at massive volumes. That capacity peaked during what is now known as the Classical Age. Under empires like the Guptas in the north and the naval power of the Cholas in the south, India became the primary commercial hub of the Old World. The volume of physical goods leaving the subcontinent was immense. Commodities like spices, wood, steel, and textiles flowed outward along maritime routes, west to Rome and east to China. In response, foreign merchants migrated inward. Roman, Arab, and Chinese traders traveled to Indian coastal ports and overland hubs to acquire these exports. Ideas and philosophy moved along these exact same routes. Indian scholars produced highly advanced scientific knowledge, formalizing astronomical concepts and creating the Hindu-Arabic numeral system. By transmitting these mathematical systems along the trade routes, the subcontinent supplied the underlying logic that would power the global scientific advancements of the coming centuries. The scale of this trade grew exponentially during the Indo-Islamic era. Established in the 13th century, the Delhi Sultanate integrated the northern subcontinent into a highly lucrative international network. When the Mongol Empire expanded, leveling cities across West and Central Asia, the Sultanate's heavily armed cavalry successfully repelled multiple invasions. This military defense preserved the region's economy and physical infrastructure intact. This centuries-long accumulation of protected wealth culminated in the Mughal Empire. By intensifying agricultural production and manufacturing, the Mughals eventually surpassed Qing China to become the largest single economy on Earth. The scale of this agrarian and manufacturing boom allowed the Mughals to fund massive cultural and architectural projects, leaving a permanent physical mark. Eventually, the centralized Mughal authority fractured, but the wealth did not evaporate. It transferred to a series of powerful, highly organized regional states, like the Maratha Confederacy and the Sikh Empire. Even divided, the Indian subcontinent remained a wealthy, proto-industrial powerhouse that commanded global geopolitical attention. This reality reframes the European Age of Discovery. European states launched desperate, highly calculated maritime missions to bypass Middle Eastern monopolies and access Indian markets directly. This map traces Vasco da Gama's incredibly risky navigation around the southern tip of Africa. The goal was targeted and singular: tap into the immense wealth of the Indian coast. Decades later, when the British East India Company finally established control over the subcontinent, they were not building an economy from scratch. The British effectively hijacked the trade networks, infrastructure, and compounded wealth that had been steadily accumulating for thousands of years. Understanding the history of the Indian subcontinent before British rule is essential. It is the story of the economic engine that